welcome to Knit Tea Live. It has been a minute. It's been a minute or two or three or like a whole month. But anyway, welcome. Thank you so much if you are here live watching. If you're watching on the replay, thank you so much. We love you. I'm excited to be back. I've got my coffee and happy Halloween if you celebrate Halloween or Samhain or any of the other holidays that occur at this time of the year. Oh, I'm gonna need my coffee. Anyway, I'm gonna be honest with you right off the bat. I feel a little out of practice. So we'll see how today's live stream goes. But yeah, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to switch that over there. There we go. But if you're here watching live, please say hello. I'd love to know where you're watching from. I, of course, am here in Southern California in the Los Angeles area. And today, it's going to be interesting. I know I put a topic in the description of talking about yucky yums and yummy yucks. It is a thing we will talk about, but we'll see what today brings in terms of the live stream. It could go off on tangents because I don't have like a really concise, clear theme for today. Although there are some things I like to talk about and hear your opinions about as well, because that's one of the fun things about live stream. Sorry, like I said, I'm out of practice and I'm being really disorganized right now. So before I get into what we're going to talk about today, just real quick, the YouTube-y things, please make sure to like. If you're not subscribed already, please click the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you think you're subscribed, double check, because sometimes YouTube does weird things and unsubscribes us from our channels for whatever reason. So yeah, just double check. Make sure that that subscribe button is actually clicked. I'm very excited because I had a stretch goal of this year, by the end of the year, reaching 1,500 subs, and I'm at 1,430 something. I need about 60 more subscribers to reach that goal, so I'm hopeful. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to get to that goal before the end of the year and reach 1,500 subs. So that's exciting. And also YouTube-y things down in the description box, you will find links to my affiliates. What is an affiliate link? It is a link that takes you to a shopping website. And if you make a purchase, I then make a small commission, and this helps support my channel so that I can buy items for review. Like I did a quick short review this week on YouTube. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. We will discuss it a little bit more during this live stream. But yeah, it helps me buy products for review. It helps me buy materials for demonstrations. It helps me like upgrade equipment. So anytime you use an affiliate link, thank you so much. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. If you're like, I don't want to shop, but I'd like to help you out, you can always buy me a coffee. You can always use the super chat, super things, all the YouTube-y things. And I'm done plugging because I hate doing it. But unfortunately, it's a necessary part of the job. Or in this case, hobby. But anyway. So, hello, UF. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know it's been a minute since we've done the live stream. Hello, Giuseppe Testa. I hope I pronounced that all correctly. From London. Oh, thank you. I love London. Good evening. Good evening. I studied for London for a semester in college. I actually lived at Regent's Park, across from the Queen's Rose Garden. Inch by Inch Inspirations. Hello, welcome from Eugene, Oregon, the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Love that area. And UF is from Germany. Okay, I've always wondered, UF. And you know what? I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time in Germany. I spent like a day in Germany when I was studying in London. I had a fall break, a week off, and my dad just by happenstance was having a convention in France. And so we met in Germany. We spent a day there, sightseeing around Frankfurt. And then we went down to Nice for his convention. And I had the most amazing bouillabaisse ever in France. So yes, And hello, Kathleen Fry. Welcome, welcome. So glad to see you are here. New Mexico. New Mexico is not a state I've had a chance to spend a lot of time in, but I'd like to because I actually love that area of the country. I like deserts. I think deserts are really pretty. So for today, I'm going to catch you up a little bit on what's been going on personally. If you watched my last live stream, you know that I've been dealing with a bit of a calamity in my life, which was about now a month ago. My house flooded. We are now back in the house, but we are in the process of starting a renovation process as we fix everything from the flood. So, but I'll catch you up a little bit on what's been going on with my life and how that's affecting my channel, what my plans are for the channel for the rest of the year. We will be talking about the topic that I put in the description box, which is about people yucking your yums, or just as annoying, yumming your yucks. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And part of me talking about that is I may go on a bit of a tear about English versus Continental knitting because of a conversation that I got involved with a couple of weeks ago. And because I wasn't able to live stream the last 2 weekends, I haven't had a chance to talk to y'all about it. And I want to tell y'all about it. So we'll cover that. I did a little bit of shopping a couple weeks ago, so I'll show you what I bought at the big box yarn store, craft store a couple weeks ago. And it's nothing too exciting, but it's always nice to look at pretty string. And finally, we'll do pattern spotlight because there were some new patterns that came out, and one of which I think I'm gonna buy. I think I'm gonna buy it. After we've done pattern spotlight, you guys can guess which pattern I'm going to buy. How about that? It'll be a fun little game at the end. So yeah, that's what is up for today. So let's maybe get the personal stuff out of the way. So what's going on with me personally? Okay, so we are back in the house. We moved back into our house out of the hotel about, it was 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So we were in the hotel for about a week and a half while a crew came in to dry out the area of our house that flooded, and a asbestos team had to come in and remove some drywall and such because, my house was built in 1968. A house built in the late 60s, not uncommon that the drywall and some of the insulation would have asbestos in it. This is very common. And as long as asbestos is left alone and it's solid state, it's fine. It's when it starts breaking apart and gets up in the air that it's dangerous. And so you have to bring in a special team, an asbestos abatement team, to come in and safely remove it. So it was a whole process, but we're now back in the house. It feels really good to be back home. Love being back in my own bed again. It's still very disruptive because not everything is back where it was. Like a good chunk of my living room is still craft storage. There are sections of my house where they had to remove drywall. In fact, right over there is the exterior wall of the house that this room is in. I don't know if that made sense, but anyway, that's where the window is for my craft room. About 2 feet under that is the 2 feet of drywall that has been removed, and so I'm just looking at the bare other exterior wall on the other side. So almost every room in my house has some amount of drywall that's removed, and you see the exterior walls. Thankfully, we are in the temperate season in Los Angeles where it's not too hot and it's not too cold. And so, we're not having to run the AC and we're not having to run the heater. So that's good. But it's going to be a while. It's going to be a bit before we get everything fixed. We are in the process of getting it started, but in the process of repairing this, we had always planned to do a home renovation on the bedroom side of our house. And it was like, well, we have to replace all the flooring and we have to fix these drywalls. So, and one of the bathrooms, the vanity had to be taken out from the wall, and we might as well just go ahead and bite the bullet and renovate like we've been planning to. So it's a whole process. It's going to be a very long process. I will keep you guys up to date with it as it goes along. But yeah, right now I'm in my craft room. You'll notice the bookshelf that's normally not here. That's in my daughter's room because it's like, I just not going to drag it back in right now because it's got to be dragged back out again. So that's what's going on personally. The other thing that was going on the last few weeks and the reason I haven't been able to upload any new videos in October was I was working on a show. It's a very cute show that's going to be on Hulu and Food Network. It's called Candified, Home for the Holidays. It's a cute show. It's about a woman. Her name's Jackie, and she does candy art. These big candy art installations, and we were doing a special where she was creating this holiday home all out of candy. So I was working on that for a few weeks, which was really good. And so I was busy with that, but because of that and because of my husband's work situation, hadn't been able to film. Everything going on, just didn't have time to film except for a couple of YouTube shorts. So that is why I haven't uploaded anything in the past month, but that is changing. That is changing. This past week, I shot 2 videos. One is a review of the Prim Ergonomic Circular Needle. The other is a Socktober video, which will be in November, of doing a afterthought heel and using a particular type of heel construction with that afterthought heel called the thumb joint and hat top heel. And you can help me decide which one you want to see first. So if you'd like to see the review first, just tell me right now in the chat, review. Or if you'd like to see the afterthought heel video first, let me know. I'll also put a poll up in the community tab after the live stream, and you can help me decide what to work on in the edit next. But those are the 2 videos that are coming up, and I've got a whole bunch of more videos planned to shoot, and I will have time in the next coming weeks to get ahead of my shoot schedule. So hopefully we don't have a month-long lag again. So yeah, that's everything that's going on. That is the update. Whoo! Coffee. You know what I need to do for the live stream? I need to create a banner, a little quick video that helps me transition from one topic to the next. Help me segue, because I think that's everything I had to say about the update. Unless anybody have any questions about what's been going on or anything, I'd be happy to answer them. Just let me know in the chat. But if no one has any questions or comments, we're going to move on to the big topic of the day, which is yucking people's yums and yumming people's yucks. So how this came about for me was a couple of weeks ago. I tweeted, please review first. UF is like, please the review first. I'm tempted to do the review first, truthfully as well, because I like a review, and it's a good one, I think. So yes, a week ago, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw this tweet, and let me just get to it's this one. There we go. I will die on the hill that Continental knitting is not objectively better than English knitting. They are different ways to knit. Both have their pros and cons. Which you like is a matter of personal preference. Now, I've talked about this many times on my channel. I've talked about this on live stream before, Continental versus English knitting. And I'd love to hear from you. How do you like to knit? What is your preference? Do you like to throw your yarn? Do you like to pick your yarn? Are you a Portuguese knitter and tension the yarn around your neck? Please let me know in the chat. Or if you're watching on the replay, please comment down below. You can always be part of the conversation. Excuse me? Burps, don't do that. You can always be part of the conversation, no matter when you watch this video. But The reason I tweeted this, and you probably know if you're watching my channel, that I am a thrower. I am specifically a lever style knitter, which means that the way I define that is that I keep the needle in my right hand still. I use my left hand and needle to load stitches on and off the right needle, and then my right hand is able to just throw the yarn. I have videos on this, on how I knit. But I do consider myself a lever knitter. I do think of that as a variation of English knitting. Something very important to say up front, English knitting, in my opinion, and how I understand it and what I learned when I was learning how to knit, is that English knitting is holding the yarn in your right hand. Now, for some people, they throw the yarn. Some people flick the yarn, but somehow you hold the yarn in the right hand and you use your right hand to wrap the yarn around the needle. That's how I define English knitting. I don't think it's the greatest term in the world for this style of knitting, but I tend to use it because it's commonly understood. I can knit continental knitting. It's not my preferred method. I can do it. I sometimes utilize it. It's a tool in my toolbox, but it's not my preferred method, And I can Portuguese knit as well. And sometimes I use Portuguese knitting. But again, 95% of the time I knit my lever style. And I love it. I love it. And part of the reason that I even started my channel was to be a resource for other English knitters, because I feel like there is a lot of pressure these days, bias towards saying that if you want to be a better, more efficient, faster knitter, that the only way to do that really is to become a continental knitter. And it's not. I don't think that's true. I think that both styles of knitting have their pros and cons. I think it's very possible. I know it's possible. I know that it's possible to knit efficiently and quickly either way. I think it's also possible to knit inefficiently and poorly either way. And that what you prefer, the method that you prefer, is a matter of personal opinion. So the reason this tweet and this topic even came up was because on another platform that I shall not name, somebody had posted a question, which was a friend had asked them to teach him how to knit, and they were asking the group if they should teach them continental or English knitting, which was the better way to teach knitting at this point. And everyone kind of threw out their opinions. There were a lot of people just saying continental, some people just said English, some people gave reasons, some people didn't. My answer was, show them both ways of knitting, let them choose which one they prefer. There's pros and cons to both of them. I think this is a non-controversial statement to make, truthfully. But somebody commented back to me and said, I can't imagine there's any advantages to English knitting whatsoever, and like continental's hands down better, and that's how people should knit. She didn't say that. The person did not say that last sentence. That was my inference that I made. But they did say, basically, that there are no advantages. They can't imagine any advantages to English knitting. And that, yeah. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. That's what you think. And I just commented back. I'm like, well, I actually have done a video on this. Here's my video where I discuss the pros and cons of each method and why I personally prefer English style knitting. They watched it. They came back and they said, I watched your video. I don't buy it. I was like, what sort of buy or not buy? It's my opinion. But it was like, and they came back and basically their argument was that they always see people who have knitted English knitting in the past try continental and say things like, I wish I had learned this in the first place. I wish I learned how to knit continental sooner. So therefore, continental must be the better way to knit, because you never see continental knitters switch to English. Well, I responded back and said, well, I've seen continental knitters who said that they've tried English and they come to prefer that, or they can knit both ways. And I'm like, so, I mean, I don't think you see it as often, but you do see it. And besides, I didn't even get into this. I don't think it's an actual valid argument as to why Continental might be objectively better than English, for reasons I can get into if you'd like to hear them. But so anyway, it was a very interesting conversation, but it was also very interesting in just how adamant people are. Some people are that English knitting is just a lesser way to knit, a less valuable way to knit. One person commented that why would anyone switch from Continental to English knitting? It'd be like going from high-speed internet to dial-up. And it was such an insulting statement to make, in my opinion. I thought it was so insulting that somebody would compare the way so many people knit to an outdated technology. Like, this is the kind of thing that you see around the knittingverse on various platforms on the internet that get my goat, because it's one thing to say, I enjoy this way of knitting. This is what I prefer. This is why I prefer it. That is you stating your personal opinion and experience, and that's totally valid. But to sit there and say objectively to somebody who loves English knitting, you're knitting dial-up. Now you're yucking my yum. It's like, that is not cool. Like, and it started to feel to me, and this again was my interpretation of these conversations, that there was a real investment on some knitters' part in believing that the way that they knit is the one best way to knit. So, let me see what some of the comments are. Kathleen, I usually do English color work with one in each hand. Yes, I do the same thing. When I knit color work, if I don't use Portuguese knitting for the color work and I'm working with double strands, I will utilize Continental in those instances to have a strand of yarn in each hand. Inch by inchworm inspirations. I started out knitting English style, but I am directionally challenged and I often get confused trying to figure out which way to wind the yarn. I find Continental solves that problem for me. Totally valid. And I can understand that. I can totally get that being more straightforward if you find that you're confused about what direction to throw the yarn. And I'm glad that you found a way to knit that works for you. Plus, my hand cramps up less with Continental. And that's fair. And I know a lot of people who have had that experience where they find that the Continental knitting is easier in their hands. I personally had the opposite experience. I have found that the way that I knit English style causes my wrists less fatigue and less soreness than Continental. Something about Continental, and maybe it's just the way that I do it, I find that I torque my wrist more, and so I tend to have more wrist problems. But that's my experience, you know? So, but like I said, I think it's great whenever people find a way to knit that works best for them and their bodies. And we should be just celebrating the fact that people want to knit. Kathleen, I hate that do what you like doesn't hurt and produce the results you like is any kind of controversial. Right? And I think there was also a certain attitude in those conversations that I was seeing around all of this, that if people just learn Continental first, then they would never want to even try English knitting or holding the yarn in their right hand and throwing. And I just don't agree. Now, don't get me wrong. This is something I will say. Take my drink of coffee as I say this. I feel like what I'm about to say could be a little controversial. I think that over the last 10, 20 years, there has been a lot more classes, conversations, articles, all of it, that have given knitters a lot of good information on how to knit Continental effectively. And that's a good thing. I don't think the same amount of effort and energy has gone into creating classes and articles and other things to teach throwers how to throw more effectively. I like to think I'm trying to make a little bit of a dent in that with a couple of videos I've done. I did do a video a few months ago on how English knitters can knit faster. But I think that has left two things. One, an impression that there isn't a more effective, efficient way of throwing yarn. But also, I will say, I do think a lot of the explanations that you see, especially if they come from Continental knitters, of how English knitting works or throwing works isn't necessarily the idealized form, let's put it that way, of English knitting. I think that in some ways throwing yarn in English knitting is quicker to pick up, but does require a little bit more in terms of the nuances to understand how to do it in a more efficient manner, if that makes sense. Let's see. Donna Schmid, there isn't a lesser style of knitting. I've seen a woman on YouTube who knits with only one arm. Exactly. There is no lesser form of knitting. There are lesser ideal results, you know? I mean, you can definitely, if you're knitting in such a way that you get uneven tension and you're rowing out, I would say that your results aren't as ideal. But on the other hand, if you like it and you're happy with your knitting, then keep on knitting with your bad self. You know, Kathleen, there's also an undertone of the capitalist grind. Why do we have to be fast? Yes, I don't disagree with that. I think that, I've talked about this before, and I will probably talk about this forever, whether you want to discuss it in the context of, you know, capitalism and socioeconomic issues, or just how people define what good is. Look, if you're a production knitter, if you are someone who knits to sell what you have knitted, you do need a certain amount of speed in order to create enough product to sell, and that is capitalism. But at the same time, I agree. I think there's way too much emphasis put on speed equaling best or better. Like, if you knit faster, if you knit more stitches per inch, that means you're a better knitter. It doesn't necessarily. All that it means is that you can knit fast. That's all that it means. You know, I personally subscribe to the idea that you should judge the quality of the knitting by the quality of the product at the end. Meaning, like, if I have knitting that has good even tension, that fits correctly, that is pleasant to look at, that looks handmade versus homemade, does it matter if I took an extra day to get to that result? And there are times, frankly, that speed can hinder you. Knitting really fast can actually be a hindrance to output. Because I think the other thing people get caught up is they think, like, if I knit faster, I'll produce more finished objects. I'd say for the average knitter, this is my opinion, I don't have a scientific paper on this, but for the average knitter, I don't think being able to knit 1 or 2 stitches more per minute is the thing that's going to get you more finished objects. What's going to get you to be able to finish more objects in a year, in a month, or what have you, is 1, dedicating more time to the craft, and 2, proficiency. Because if I knit 5 rows of knitting in a minute, right? Like, let's say 50 stitches in a minute. 5 rows, 10 stitches, 50 stitches per minute. But in the process of that, I have uneven tension, or I was knitting so fast I didn't notice that I dropped a stitch, or I was knitting so fast that I forgot to do a decrease, whatever it is. And I had to frog back to the mistake. And maybe I didn't notice the mistake until I was 20 rows into the project, because I was knitting so fast, I wasn't looking at what I was doing as I was going along. I don't think you've gained much time. And I think speed and efficiency and proficiency are not all the same thing. And I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million times again. My personal opinion, speed is a byproduct of efficiency and proficiency. You might gain some more speed as you gain some efficiency with your movement. But the main benefit of gaining efficiency with your movement, in my opinion, is not speed. The main benefit is you will have better ergonomics. And so you're able to knit more comfortably for longer stretches of time without injuring yourself. And I think that's more important than just raw knitting speed. And proficiency is all about not making mistakes, making fewer mistakes, catching your mistakes sooner when you do make them, understanding how you can fix mistakes in an efficient way so that you can avoid frogging back 2 hours of work, because that's 2 hours of work you're not going to get back. So inch by inch, I think the issue is an example of the persistent ableism in the knitting community. Good point. I say embrace what works best for your brain and body. 100%. I agree with you 100% inch by inch, Worm. I think that you do what you can as well as you can, how you can. And the most important thing is that you enjoy it. That you enjoy what you're doing. This is, for most of us, knitting is not a business, it's a craft. It's a hobby. Although I don't love the word hobby. I don't know why. It just bothers me. But for most of us, knitting is something that we do as a pleasurable experience. So the most important thing is that we actually enjoy the process. And, you know, for whatever reason, me personally, when I knit, I enjoy the feeling of knitting English style more than I enjoy the feeling of Continental. Just whatever reason I do. It's a personal preference. Kathleen, seconded about the ableism. Pushing speed makes my wrist RSI worse, so then I have to rest and can't knit at all for a bit, dropping overall output. Yes, absolutely. Well, and I think the other part of that ableism as well is, by the way, this pen is because my mouse is broken and I'm using my tablet to work my computer, if you're wondering what this is in my hand. But anyway, it's a passion. Yes, exactly. It is a passion. It is not my profession. You know, some people knitting is their profession, and what they need out of their experience is going to be different, you know, and that's okay. But, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the ableism. There are people who can't knit faster. In terms of, like, you know, they have wrist injury, or they have nerve damage in their hands, or they have arthritis. And so they can produce beautiful knitted pieces, but they're just not, their bodies just aren't going to be able to move at the same speed as somebody else. And their knitting isn't lesser because of that. It is just how they have to produce their work. And when we put so much emphasis on speed, I think it makes this insecurity for a lot of people. Like, the number of times I see comments of people going, I'm such a slow knitter. What does it matter if you're a slow knitter? First of all, my guess is you're probably not as slow as you think you are. I've had people who sat there and go, I'm such a slow knitter. And I'm like, well, how long does it take you to do this kind of project? And they tell me the speed. And I'm like, that's average. That's about as long as it takes me. And a lot of people, I'm not saying I'm a fast knitter. I'm saying other people have told me I'm a fast knitter. But I don't think you get to see it on camera because I slow myself down for demonstration. And knitting on camera, I'm slower than when I'm just sitting at my couch because of the way I have to sit for camera to do it. But anyway, but it's like, you're fine. You're fine. Your knitting is beautiful. You're doing great. You know, but hey, Elizabeth Zimmerman said continental knitting is faster in her book once, and now everyone thinks that's what matters. I'm not blaming Elizabeth Zimmerman, just Elizabeth Zimmerman. I'm just saying it's a contributing factor to this. So, but I think, though, there is another, and I'm totally guilty of this, by the way. I admit I'm totally guilty of this. I try not to yuck other people's yum. I might go, oh, that's interesting. Not my personal taste, but hey. Because again, I think there's a difference between going, this is what I prefer and this is why I prefer it, versus going, what you're doing is yeah. It's like pineapple on pizza. I don't like pineapple on pizza. I'm never going to like pineapple on pizza. That is not pleasant to me. But I'm not going to say something to someone if they like pineapple. If you're someone who likes pineapple on pizza, we would just get different pizzas, and that's fine. And we can both enjoy the pizza that we want to eat. You know? It's not a character flaw. It's not a flaw at all if somebody enjoys something in a way that you prefer something else in that different way. I don't know if what I said just made any sense or not. But anyway, but there's another thing, and I'm guilty of this, and that is yumming people's yucks. Because a lot of times there are things that we do not like that other people like, and other people will spend a lot of time trying to convince us that we're wrong. But, you know, we're wrong to not like the thing that they like. You find this a lot in fandom. And in fact, what even got me on this train of thought was actually had to do with a tweet that I saw that was speaking about sci-fi and fantasy. And it's like, because, you know, if you don't like, for example, because this movie is out right now, the movie or the book Dune, you get a lot of people who love Dune, who get very offended about that. Like, how could you not love this book and this movie? It's like, because it's personal taste. Like, you know, something could be objectively good. And I'm going to just bring up Dune because I went to the movie theater for the first time in over a year. We went and saw Dune, and I like the book. And I can honestly say about the movie, it is an objectively good movie in that the performances are really great. The visuals are really good. Everything about this movie and the storytelling is really well done. Everything about it is good. And yet, I feel no way about it. It's like, it lacks, to quote Mozart in the Jungle, the blood. Like, I don't hate it, but I didn't walk away feeling any kind of way at the end either. And so I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. But that's a personal response. Something can be objectively good, and yet it just doesn't appeal to you. Let's see, Kathleen. Or the Rav Defenders. Oh, yes, the Rav Defenders. The website that shall not be named. Look. Ravelry. It's got a lot of issues, in my personal opinion. That is a personal opinion. If you want to keep utilizing the website for whatever reason, that's fine. That is your choice to make. But other people are not required to want to be a part of the website. You know? Other people are not required to be part of the website. If other people have, this is really important. If somebody's coming to you saying, this website is causing me pain, I go on it, I experience migraine, I experience eye strain, I experience whatever it is. Too many people come back at them and basically try to deny their experience. And that goes beyond just yucking. That goes beyond yumming someone yuck. That starts to get into gaslighting, which is, I didn't really plan to talk about Ravelry today, but that is a very good example of people who will like yum people's yuck, where it's just like, but I understand that people have very personal feelings about Ravelry on all sides of that question. And I just think it's a shame. I think it's a shame for the knitting community that it has come to that. So, yeah. Let's talk about something that is objectively yucky, but maybe you like it and it has worked for you. But for me, was yucky. And that is my So a few months ago, I was very excited because Knitter's Pride put out a interchangeable cable needle that they call the Mindful Cable. That is a steel wire cable with a plastic coating. And if you know about Chia Goo, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they are known. Chia Goo is known for their cables, and they use a steel wire cable and with a nylon coating, and their Chia Goo cable is like, it has no memory, it doesn't kink up, it's incredibly flexible. It is objectively a fantastic circular cable needle. And if you struggle with other cables, it's worth trying out the Chiagu because it is a stellar, stellar cable. It's not my preferred needle overall because it's my personal preference. I still prefer my Addies, but I cannot deny the objective greatness of the Chiagu cable. So, but I was excited because I was like, well, maybe Knitter's Pride, they've come out with a steel wire cable with a plastic coating. Maybe this can be a, more economical alternative to Chiagu. I have all of my, I have 2 sets of Knitter Pride's interchangeable needles. I have Cubics Platina, which are their metal square needles, and then I have their Carbons needles, which those are carbon fiber needles. And I was like, maybe I'll have a steel wire cable for them that's like the Chiagu, and that would be amazing. So I bought it. I'm trying it out. I've been working a project with this, my Aberdeen wrap by Amy Snell. I was working that project with this cable needle. A couple things happened. One of which I didn't discuss in the video because this wasn't my shorts video about this cable. I didn't discuss this because this wasn't really a failure of the cable so much as just having a 4-year-old. My daughter grabbed my needle one night and started tugging at it, and I was trying to get her to let go, but she kept tugging, and the cable lost a tug of war, basically, and this happened. The screw component popped off. So, but I did get to see here what is inside that cable. But I was able to put the screw tip back on, and I kept working with it, and it held. So I was like, okay. But then the next thing happened. As I was working, the other end, I'm going to just show you with this end, started bending like this. And I kept trying to straighten it up, but it just kept bending like that. And eventually what happened is that the steel cable was cut through. It's gone. This is the other end now. The steel cable sheared off. And yeah, this is now completely unusable cable. I would say that's objectively yucky. Now, if you like the steel cable and you haven't had that experience, you might go, that's my yum, and I respect that. I personally could not recommend this cable to anybody. Now, maybe I got a lemon, that happens. I could go through the process of trying to get this replaced, for free, because obviously this cable failed. That failed. But I just don't care enough to, because I also find that the cable's not as flexible as the Chiagu. And I actually prefer the Knitter's Pride regular plastic cables to this. So I was like, I'm not going to bother trying to get it replaced because I don't really like the cable, even if it hadn't failed. So, but that's my yuck. And I don't want to yuck anyone else's yum. And I would hope that nobody would try to yum my yuck on that. So that's just an example of something that could, although I don't know. What do you think? Kathleen, I know that you commented on my shorts video and you said that, Kathleen commented on my shorts video and said that she found that the screw tended to come loose more easily than other cables. So anyway, that was disappointing. That was really, really disappointing. I was very disappointed in that. Yummy. All right. So if nobody else has anything they want to say, any other questions they want to ask about today's topic, I think because we have about 15 minutes left, we can move on to pattern spotlight. And oh, wait, sorry. Stop. Let me show you the pretty string first. Oh, drop the ball. Ball down. Here we go. Okay. So I went to go get my hair done a few weeks ago. Where I get my hair done is right next to a Michael's. So I went in and I got some things. Mostly, well, was this on sale? It was on, I'm trying to remember if this was on sale or if I just had coupon, but regardless, I got crochet thread. I got a bunch of Aunt Lydia's classic thread in size 10. So I got this color blue, which I love, and this color green. This looks very blue probably to you on camera, but it's more of a green. It's more of a sage green. Aqua. It's aqua. And I got this silvery gray, which I love, and I think will be so pretty with like the aqua and the teal. And then I got a purple, lavender. I got two things. Oh, I got a lighter gray. And I got a multicolor one. So what am I doing with all of this? Why am I doing all this crochet thread? Am I going to make doilies? No, I'm not going to make doilies. Not my thing. I got all this for card weaving because I'm still trying out the tablet weaving. I'm planning an updated video on tablet weaving, what I've learned since then. Haven't been able to shoot it yet just because, you know, everything going on, but I'm very excited to start playing around with some different patterns utilizing this thread for tablet weaving. So that's why I got all this. So that was fun. Whoops. And also I did get, because I haven't done it yet, but I am planning to try needle punch embroidery. So I got a smaller needle punch. So I will keep you up to date on my travails with travail. I don't even know where that word came from. I will keep up with my stop, think, use your words. I will keep you up to date on my progress on these couple of newish crafts for me. But I wanted to share that with y'all, because it's always fun. Look how pretty that is. I mean, just so pretty. Like I said, this is more aqua. It looks blue, I think, more blue on camera, but it's more green. But that green and purple are going to be so pretty together. Oh, I might be in a little bit of a cool tone rut, guys. If we're completely honest, everything I've been buying this year has been like purples, greens, blues. I might have to stretch myself a little bit on color. I'm getting a little bit, it's a very pretty color rut. This is a pretty color rut that I'm in, but I might be getting a little bit in a color rut. Maybe that's a video to do. How to break out of a color rut. We all do it. We all fall into like ruts sometimes with colors, where we keep picking the same color over and over again. Anyway, so yeah, let's take a look. Oh, before we get into this, we're going to get into Pattern Spotlight. As we get into this Pattern Spotlight, though, I wanted to give a quick thanks to Knit Hacker on Twitter, who gave me a shout out this morning, I think, for my Fiber Happenings webpage. So thank you so much, Knit Hacker. If you're watching or you happen to come across this, thank you so much for the shout out. It is greatly appreciated. But we are going to now get into Pattern Spotlight. Very excited. It felt really good. I want to be honest, because I hadn't, just everything going on, I hadn't been updating Fiber Happenings as consistently. I'm trying to get back into the groove of everything that I was doing before the flood. My antediluvian. Sorry, before the flood. That's now how I mark my time. Before the flood and after the flood. I'm in after the flood right now. But I'm trying to get back into all the things. So thank you everyone for being patient with me as I've gone through all of this. But anyway, first up in Pattern Spotlight, there is a new pattern. Oops, Rio, let's make it bigger. From Liz Cork. And guys, oh my God. I'm going to just apologize now for not pronouncing this correctly. This is a Scottish Gaelic word, Quartigan cow? It means vortex or swirl in Scottish Gaelic. And oh my God, is it pretty. Like, that is like just so pretty. Let's take a look at it though on the Etsy so we can really appreciate this cowl design. So we're going to just get in closer. And so this is a 2-color brioche knitting pattern. It is so gorgeous. It creates this swirling effect. This is a cowl design, and the pattern comes in 2 lengths, so you can do a longer, more infinity scarf like this one, or you can do a shorter, smaller cowl that's closer to the neck on it. If you've never done 2-color brioche, it's personally a knitting technique that I love. It creates these really beautiful stitch movements, and it's this gorgeous squishy texture. Brioche knitting is kind of its own special, it's a stitch. I mean, brioche is a stitch pattern, but it's kind of its own special beast in terms of knitting. And some people really struggle trying to understand what brioche knitting is and how it works. Personally, it's hard for me to explain it if you don't know what brioche is. But it's basically, it's a variation of a rib pattern. The way the brioche works is you knit one row and you do a knit, but on a purl, you slip the purl with the yarn in front so that when you go to knit the next stitch, the yarn over goes over the purl stitch. Then on the next pass, when you come to those stitches that have the yarn over what was the purl stitch, you knit that yarn over and then knit together. And so it creates this very squishy rib pattern. And there's a lot of neat things you can do with it with two colors. In terms of what's called syncopated brioche, which is changing up when you do your slip purls and when you do your knits, and you can create all these really beautiful motifs and movement with it. And this is one of the few things in knitting where I go, yeah, this is a little bit more next level. And I will say, this pattern is so gorgeous. I'm so in love with it. It's just so gorgeous. I will say though, if you are not familiar with brioche knitting, this may not be the pattern I would start with if you want to explore it. I think this pattern is probably more for someone who at least has some understanding of brioche knitting and has done a pattern or two in brioche already. But one thing about Liz Quirk's patterns, though, is she always gives like a full set of directions, meaning like you get a glossary basically and a picture tutorial for each of the techniques that she uses in a pattern, which is like really special that she does that. So yeah, I love this pattern. Love it. Let's see, there we go. Oops, no, back. There we go. A couple of comments show from Inch. I've been eagerly watching her design process on Patreon. I already have my yarn picked out. Oh, yay. I want to know what yarn you have picked out for it. One thing with brioche knitting is it really is ideal when utilizing 100% wool. It really benefits from having a stickier wool. So it's a knit stitch that really looks beautiful with a wool that has a gorgeous halo to it. So if you have a wool with a little bit of like mohair or cashmere knit, it's gorgeous. AR, that's a gorgeous pattern. It's such a gorgeous pattern. It's just stunning. I mean, like so gorgeous. She just really knocked it out of the park on that pattern. Oh, I don't know why it's not showing up. I got to fix that. I have a couple of things on Vibra Happenings I got to fix. If you are interested in brioche knitting and you want a book, I will leave a link for it down in the description box after the live stream. But if you're interested in a book on brioche knitting, Nancy Marchant, she's actually the woman who popularized brioche knitting here in the US. She teaches it. She's an amazing teacher at it, but she has 2 books. And if you are new to brioche knitting or you're just getting your feet into it, either one of her books is a really good one to have. But the one that I would recommend is her the Knitting Brioche, the Essential Guide to Brioche Stitch. So she even includes special cast on and bind off instructions with this pattern. Yes, she does. It's like if you want to dive into this pattern, just know that Liz Quirk has absolutely set up the pattern to hold your hand throughout the process. And according to Liz Quirk, she had a couple of test knitters who had never done brioche knitting before, and they did this pattern and really enjoyed it. So this next pattern that we're going to look at is a sock pattern from Lotta Groger. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And I would go to a pay store to look at more pictures, but the link is broken. I got to get it fixed. But this is a sock pattern, and it features a motif inspired by a town in the game Critical Role called Whitestone. Thus, this is the Whitestone sock. And the motif is created with cables and Estonian star stitches. So it's a really neat design. It features 2x2 ribbing along the cuffs. So this is like a cuff that is going to probably fit well a variety of feet. And yeah, it's a really neat pattern from her. We're going to just scroll down. We have another sock pattern. This is by KBJ Designs. And this is her Autumn Day sock. And it features this lovely lacy motif along the side of the sock. And I don't know, I always really love when sock patterns do this, when they just put a motif down one side of the sock. I personally enjoy that because I think it gives like a section of the sock that gives you a really kind of a little bit of a fun, interesting stitch pattern to work with. But you still have the majority of the sock, which is a little bit more, you know, just straightforward knitting, which is sometimes what you want with sock knitting. So, yeah, there's this sock pattern, and I think it's lovely. This, by the way, is knitted from the cuff down, and it looks like it's a flap and gusset heel with a wedge toe. So it's very much a classic sock pattern. It just has that lovely lacy detail down the side of a leaf motif. Leaf motif. And next up, we have a new pattern. So you don't have to, there we go. This is a new pattern from Periwinkle Dragon, Carol Lyle. This is her cracked glass scarf. One of the neat things, especially this time of year, because I know a lot of people are really interested in purchasing Advent yarn calendars for the holidays, but you know that usually involves mini skeins, and you want projects for mini skeins, and Carolyn Lyle has actually several projects, several patterns that are designed with mini skeins in mind, and this is her newest one. This is a chevron pattern scarf, but she also includes directions on, oh, darn. Oh, I hate when that happens. Wrong link. All right, I gotta fix that link. But this is what it looks like. It's a scarf. It's lovely. I love the colors. And if you have a bunch of mini skeins, or if you have a bunch of skeins of yarn just left over from other projects, this is the type of project that can really use up those leftover yarns, scrap yarn, really beautifully. And I don't know, personally, I always find it's a lot of fun to work a chevron pattern. Again, I think chevron patterns are really fun because you have increases and decreases, but it's very approachable, and I love the movement that it creates with the stitches. I just love that. Also, in addition to the chevron, there is an accent with some slip stitches as well. So it's a neat pattern. So yeah, those are, those are all the patterns that I have on Fiber Happenings right now, but there were a couple of things that I saw on Twitter yesterday after I updated Fiber Happenings and hadn't had a chance to put up on the website that I wanted to point out. One is here. This is from Germander Cottage. This is a crochet pattern of her Daphne shawl. And it is so lovely. In fact, when I saw it at first, I thought maybe it was knitting, but this is a crochet pattern, but it's crochet lace, and it's just beautiful. Here you can see a picture of it fully spread out. This would be a great project to start now in the fall or in the winter, and then you could have it in the spring when you still have those like chilly days and nights. It's springtime where you just need a little bit of an extra layer. And it's really pretty. It has these fun baubles along the edge. I just noticed that. So really gorgeous. I will put a link to this pattern down in the description box after the live stream today. And I will see when I have a chance to get it up on Fiber Happenings, but it will get up on Fiber Happenings at some point. Finally, a little bit of news from Kath Andrews that I came across on Twitter. Kath Andrews, and you can see one of her patterns here that was on Pattern Spotlight a few months ago. She, in her November newsletter, is having a subscriber discount inside. You can get 15% off all of her mitts, hats, and cowl patterns on PayHip through the end of the year with the coupon code that will be in her newsletter. So if you are interested in any of her patterns, any of them, subscribe to her newsletter and get that discount. So that's a little bit of exciting news there that I came across on Twitter. So that is it for Pattern Spotlight. At the end, I did say you can guess what pattern I'm planning to buy. I don't think I had a very good poker face on this. If you wanted to make a guess as to what I plan to buy. Introvert. At PDX Knitterati just released a great brioche book as well. Oh, great. I will take a look at that. Thank you, Inch by Inchworm. I will definitely take... You didn't, the cowl. Yeah. Yes, you're right, Kathleen. It's the cowl. I'm getting that cowl. Yeah, I am. Because actually in Liz Cork's newsletter, there's a discount code for that cowl. So I'm going to be utilizing that discount code and getting that cowl and putting it on my list of things to knit. I haven't knit a brioche project in a long time, and I'm very just jazzed about that one. I'm very excited about it. So, yes, Quartagan. I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I'm contemplating one myself in handspun. Oh, yes. All right. So we are an hour into this. I'm going to start wrapping things up now, unless anyone else has any questions or any comments. Thank you so much for being with me today. I so appreciate it. I've missed live streaming with all y'all. And I'll be honest, I feel very out of practice. I felt very nervous coming into this today because I'm just out of practice. Oh, good to know. Inch by Inchworm. If you join Liz Cork's Patreon, you get 50% off that pattern. Ooh, good to know. Inch, you've got all the good deets. Thank you. But yeah, so like I said, I'm going to put up a poll to help me decide which video to edit first, whether it's going to be the review of the Prim. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's Prim or Prime. I didn't look it up, but however you pronounce it, the Prim ergonomic needle. They've just started selling this needle in Michael's a few months ago. I bought one. I have tried it out. It was an interesting experience, so I have a whole review on that. So either that will be my next video or my video on the Afterthought heel with a thumb joint hat top heel construction. Let me know which one you'd like to see first. And I will put a poll up on my community page to ask that question. I'm going to start editing tomorrow. So yeah, you'll have today to answer the question. But I'll put it up here. I'll put it up on all of my socials so you can help me decide. So yeah, that's what's coming up next. I have a couple of other sock videos planned for the month of November, for Socktober. Because really, Socktober can be any time of year. It doesn't have to just be October. I've decided Socktober can be any time of year. Also, I have done a couple of video shorts on YouTube. I'm kind of enjoying it. So keep an eye out for more of those I might do for like those things that like don't feel like they deserve or need like an entire video upload, but could be like fun. Inch votes for I would like the tutorial, but either way. Okay, so I've got 1 vote for the review and I got 1 vote for the tutorial. Good to know. So yeah, I think that's about it. So, oh, thank you, UF. Thank you so much. It was very fun. Oh, good. I'm glad. I always hope these are entertaining. So yeah, if you have not already, please make sure to like the video, do the YouTube thing, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, let other people know about my channel. I'm so close to 1,500 subs. That's my goal by the end of the year, is to be at 50. I mean, look, I'd be happy to surpass it. I would love to surpass 1,500, but my goal by the end of the year is 1,500 subs. So, help get the word out. Help get the word out. Let YouTube know this is a space worth checking out. If you're watching on the replay, please join any part of the conversation by commenting below. And, oh, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. I didn't. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video that if you're watching on replay, down in the description box, there are timestamps to different parts of the video. I always include that. Samantha H. Review. Hello, Samantha H. I didn't know you were here. Review. I own one of the Prim and I'm interested in another option. Oh, okay. Yeah. I hear you. And thank you. I've been watching the while tinking back a sock heel. We've all been there. We've all been there. The last pair of socks that I knitted, I undid the heel like 3 times. I did a flap and gusset heel, which I hadn't done in a while. I think I undid that heel about 3 times. I don't have it in reach, but I did a while ago. The sock that's in my logo, with my 2 feet in that Fair Isle sock, that sock I did the band heel. And that is a flap heel, but there's no gusset. And I think I undid it about 5 times before I thought I really had it correct. But it was the first time I'd done that style of heel. Oh, I just spat. So I was amazed. I was sewing together an amigurumi, but I was listening the whole time. Oh, you know what? That's what I'll start asking at the beginning of the video. What is everyone working on? I don't know why I haven't thought about that before. Thank you for the inspiration, everybody. I originally, when I conceived of these live streams, I thought that I would craft as I did them, but I found that it was just too much for me to try to talk, run the live stream, craft at the same time. I just couldn't do it. But I love hearing about all your projects. So yeah, mention the YouTube things. Once again, if you'd like to buy me a coffee, if you'd like to leave me any kind of tip, you can find links to all that down in the description box, as well as my affiliate links. If you click on affiliate link, it takes you to a shopping website where you can make a purchase. Then I might earn a small commission, and it helps support my channel. Got the whole spiel out. I have a spiel now on this. And yeah, so that is it for everything. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week ahead. We're entering November. It's hard to believe. What is it about the end of the year? It's like, feels like so much of the year happens, and then October 1st happens, and it just feels like a race to New Year's. And yeah, that's how it feels right now. Can't believe we're already in November, but I hope you have a great beginning to your November, and I will see you hopefully next week. Hopefully we're live streaming again next week. It all just sort of depends on what happens with my family. It all just depends on it. But happy Halloween. Happy everything. I'm sorry. I'm just like, my brain just blitzed and I lost my train of thought. But happy Halloween. Have a great rest of your Sunday. As always, happy health and happy crafting. Bye.